Good afternoon, everyone. I'm standing today with advocates, with doctors, with medical professionals, with Canadians from coast to coast who are urging, once again, the Canadian government to take the steps necessary to do what we can as Canadians to end our complicity in a genocide happening right now in Gaza. I'm honored to stand with people who have witnessed what is happening on the ground, people who have taken their own safety, risked their own safety to bring us stories of what they have seen, what they have experienced, the pain and the horror that they will share with you today needs to end. Canada needs to stop being complicit in a genocide, and I'm so grateful for all of them for coming and standing with me today at this very, very urgent and important moment in time. Right.
Tanse, Gabrielle Fayant, Nitzigason, Pakchahanse Otsinia. I'm here to provide brief remarks on behalf of the Indigenous delegation who has joined the Freedom Flotilla Coalition and who are part of the Health Alliance of Palestine Coalition. Dr. Suzanne Shush is both Statlium and Sudanese and a member of Likalum First Nation. She is a primary care physician in Toronto. Musquasan Agnew is Cree Dene and a member of the Salt River First Nation. She is a harm reduction worker supporting Indigenous peoples. Dr. Shush and Ms. Agnew left on September 12th to join the flotilla and have brought medical supplies with them in the hopes that they will be able to arrive in Gaza and provide much-needed medical care. An estimated 600,000 Palestinians in Gaza have been murdered by the State of Israel. Half of those are children. That's 300,000 children. As we near the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation to honor and remember Indigenous children, we urge you to have the same care and compassion for Palestinian children. Over 1 million Palestinians in Gaza are in desperate need of medical care, and brave healthcare providers like Dr. Shush and Ms. Agnew and thousands of others like them have stepped into dangerous humanitarian relief efforts where governments have failed to simply utter the word genocide. Dr. Shush and Ms. Agnew are also Indigenous women, and as Indigenous people, we know how Canada issues statements, conducts studies, and issues reports that attempt to minimize the ongoing genocide and violence that Indigenous peoples have and continue to experience here in Canada. We have hundreds of reports filled with recommendations and calls to action that have never been implemented. Indigenous peoples understand far too well that delay tactics and what they look like to try to avoid action. The urgency of our times demand action, and Palestinians cannot wait. We stand with the rest of the world who is urging emergency intervention to stop the genocide against Palestinian people. We call on Canada to impose immediate sanctions and a full two-way arms embargo on Israel. We call on Canada to support an immediate and permanent ceasefire, to do everything within its power to stop the genocide, and to support immediate access to international humanitarian organizations to enter Gaza. We are truly living through the darkest times. Indigenous women like Dr. Shush and Agnew are showing us what leading with love and kindness can look like. We must follow their lead and remain steadfast in our collective dedication for a Palestine that will be free. Ekosi. And now we'll show a video from Dr. Suzanne Shush.
Dr. Suzanne Shush. I'm a Coast Salish and Sudanese physician, mother, and advocate. I was invited to join the Freedom Flotilla Coalition Canada Boat to Gaza as a doctor to bring critical medical, trauma, and emergency supplies, and to sail aboard the Hind Rajab from Corsica to Italy as a physician to support the participants and crew on the first leg of the voyage to Gaza. Our mission is lawful, humanitarian, and peaceful. And above all, as an Indigenous person, this mission is obligatory. As Indigenous people of Turtle Island, we immediately recognize the genocide in Palestine as the continuation of colonial erasure, ethnic cleansing, and state violence, the inevitable outcome of settler colonialism rooted in domination. Less than 1% of physicians in Canada are Indigenous. First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people face astonishing and ongoing medical violence and barriers in accessing healthcare. Recently, the Canadian Medical Association proudly made an apology for the roles that physicians and medical institutions have played and continue to play in medical violence against Indigenous people. However, not only do they remain silent on the medicide in Gaza, they remain unable to even express compassion towards the Palestinian people enduring genocide under siege. What is happening in Gaza is the result of learned behavior. With each escalation against the healthcare system, Israel has been met with impunity and silence. As Indigenous healthcare providers, our services are desperately needed in Turtle Island, and we are immensely grateful for the support our community has given in allowing us to be here. Our community stands with us, united in strength and solidarity.
My name is Yipeng Ge. I'm a family doctor based on these unceded, unsurrendered territories of the Algonquin Anishinaabe. Having spent time with Indigenous communities, First Nations, Inuit, and Métis here on Turtle Island, and with Palestinian communities in occupied Palestine, I ultimately know that people who are subjected to colonial violence and erasure know the solution to their structural and political conditions causing death, disease, and disability. It is their full liberation from their colonizers and oppressors. Indigenous communities both here and abroad will be the leaders for their own resistance efforts in their struggle for self-determination, right to life and dignity, and full liberation. Knowing this, however, does not absolve us, the rest of us, from action. It is our responsibility to end the forms of complicity and active involvement in their colonial erasure and subjugation. That is the responsibility for us all, and that is the responsibility of healthcare workers committed to decolonization, to justice, and to reconciliation. Last year, I had the privilege of working alongside Palestinian healthcare workers in primary care clinics in central Rafah. They shared their food and water with me, despite how little they had then. Knowing that patients and community members were also dying from forced starvation then. Now my Palestinian healthcare worker colleagues are unable to feed themselves and their children, working on an empty stomach night and day, taking care of their patients, taking care of their people, as their people continue to be subjected to genocide, as their people continue to be annihilated and exterminated. I have stood here before and spoken of my friends Mohammed and Abdullah, two Palestinian ambulance drivers whom I met in Gaza last year. Mohammed previously wrote to me saying, "We live these days as if we were at the end of the world. Panic, fear, hunger, death. We are here in Gaza. Our dreams and our children's dreams end here. All my love to you and your friends, from me and my family, from all my friends, family, and people, you have all our affection and love." A few days ago, my friend Abdullah called me and he asked me if I'm currently on a boat sailing to Gaza. I sadly told him I am not, but that my friends are. He wishes we could meet again in Gaza. I told him that I hope we can meet again in Gaza and work to rebuild it together. There is no red line Israel will not cross. History will judge whether Canada acted to save the healers or stood by as they risked everything to deliver hope. The people of Gaza and Canada deserve nothing less.
Hello, bonjour. I am Scott Weinstein. I am with Independent Jewish Voices, an organization of 2,000 members across Canada, and we are guided by the principles of solidarity with oppressed people and the struggle for justice. And I just want to say that Israel's systematic attack on healthcare did not just start after October 7th. 22 years ago, I volunteered in the West Bank with the Palestinian Red Crescent ambulance crews, some who had been shot by Israelis, soldiers. And one night I was in the village of Deir Balut, and this village, like many Palestinian villages, each night is enclosed and imprisoned by Israeli soldiers. And a 7-month pregnant Palestinian woman went into premature labor with twins. And when she went to leave the village to get into the ambulance, the Israeli soldiers wouldn't let her, nor would they let the ambulance outside in. Gideon Levy, reporter from the Haaretz, wrote an article about it. It's called "And the Twins Died." I also want to remind people that 7 years ago, our colleague from London, Ontario, Dr. Tariq Lubani, was tending nonviolent protesters marching for freedom in Gaza when Israeli snipers shot him. They shot and killed the medic who had attended him. They had killed 58 people that day and shot 2,700 Palestinians in just one day. So this is not a new thing, what's going on in Gaza. This has precedent. And I just want to say that IJV, we applaud the NDP and the Bloc Québécois calling for sanctions. And right now we are demanding that Canada put forth effective, actionable sanctions against Israel, which means no company, no individual should be trading with Israel, sending money to Israel, sending Canadians to act as soldiers in Israel, and we should not be receiving these goods. And just in final, I can say that, you know, as Jews, we remember the Holocaust quite well. We remember what the Nazis did to the Warsaw Ghetto. And we have, you know, many personal relations with Palestinians and people in Gaza. And it is both shattering and enraging to see these war crimes being repeated again today in our name. That is not acceptable. And so we demand that Canada enact sanctions, protect people who are standing up, certainly healthcare workers and students, from repercussions. And we just want to say, you know, Canada, stand up against genocide, elbows up, let's do the right thing. Thank you.
Hello, bonjour, marhaba. My name is Najlaa, and I'm from Gaza originally. I came to Halifax, Nova Scotia in 2019, and I'm here as a member of the Gazan Canadian League. I have my entire family is trapped in Gaza, living under constant bombardment, endless displacement, and starvation. In Gaza today, children are dying, are paying the highest price of the genocide. UNICEF reports that more than 50,000 children have been killed or injured. These are young lives cut short permanently. At least 4,500 amputations have been carried out, often without anesthesia. Nearly 800 of them are children. They face a lifetime without adequate medical care or rehabilitation. The war has produced an entire generation of orphans. According to the Palestinian Central Bureau of Statistics, more than 39,000 children have lost at least one parent. Half of them have lost both. Canada would never accept this for its own population. Yet, Canada has remained effectively silent. Canada's failure to implement a functional and just family reunification program is a glaring injustice for Palestinian Canadians. The inability to bring our beloved ones to safety, despite the government promises, has caused immeasurable pain. In January 2024, Canada announced the Gaza Temporary Resident Visa Program for Family Reunification. The program was initially capped at 1,000 applications, but later expanded to include up to 5,000 individuals. Only a fraction has been approved, and the 860 people who had made it to Canada have done so on their own. The delay and dysfunction of this program have a life and death consequences. An analysis of over 300 families' feedback submissions found that 52 cases with serious or urgent medical needs, including cardiac conditions, cancer, chronic illness, and diabetes. Also, pediatric emergency like hydrophilias and thalassemia, disabilities, high-risk pregnancy, and severe trauma related to psychological injuries. At least 6 families have lost their beloved ones while waiting for security clearance or visa approval aimed Israeli relentless assaults. For myself, my mother, 2 sisters, 4 brothers and their spouses and nieces are remained trapped in Gaza. My mother is 62 and diabetic. She had no reliable access to clean water, nutrition, food, or constant medications. She's sheltering in a makeshift tent. Her health has deteriorated severely that she has gone from 1,050 to 100 pounds. I have 3 infant nephews. Their parents often cannot find baby formula because of the blockade. 2 of these infants were hospitalized with signs of malnutrition last 2 months. I have lost many families, extended family, relatives, and friends. My mother and siblings and their kids have been injured, pulled from beneath the rubble. All my family members have TRV applications. None of them has been evacuated. Even my mother, who completed biometrics in September 2023 and now face a life-threatening medical complications. For 2 years, we have written letters, sat in offices, traveled to Ottawa, stood in vigils, and begged for meetings. Yet, the IRCC, the Minister Lina Diab-Mitlij, and the government is ignoring us, closed their doors in our faces, refused to meet with us as families, and failed us. This is not merely a policy failure. This is a trauma for us as Palestinian Canadians. This is a discrimination, and this is a double standard. This is Canada telling us that our pain doesn't matter, that our families doesn't matter, and that our kids who are dying in Gaza don't matter. Canada must act and fulfill their promise. Our families' lives depend on it. The lives of sick and injured children depend on it. We demand that Canada stop this complicit, stop genocide, stop arming Israel, impose meaningful sanction, and do whatever is necessary to stop this genocide and save our beloved one. Thank you.
Je m'appelle Sophie Zhang. Je suis médecin de famille et membre du groupe Médecins du Québec contre le génocide à Gaza. Notre groupe s'est formé en 2024 pour dénoncer l'inaction et le silence de nos associations médicales et de notre gouvernement face au génocide perpétré par Israël à Gaza. Encore aujourd'hui, 2 ans plus tard, rien n'a bougé. Les gouvernements de ce monde ont abandonné les Palestiniens, mais des médecins et des travailleurs de la santé, nos collègues, nos amis, prennent les choses entre leurs mains et risquent leur vie pour aller briser le siège et apporter des matériaux médicaux dans les dizaines de flottilles qui sont en route vers Gaza. Le Canada doit protéger à tout prix ses missions humanitaires. Pourquoi les Québécois et les Canadiens devraient-ils se soucier de ce qui se passe à Gaza? Évidemment parce qu'on a un cœur, mais aussi parce que le Québec, a ouvert un bureau à Tel Aviv cette année. 9,6 milliards de dollars de la Caisse de dépôt du Québec, donc les pensions, nos pensions, sont investies dans des entreprises qui soutiennent le génocide. Et à quelques kilomètres de chez moi, dans une usine à Valleyfield et dans un siège social à Repentigny au Québec, la compagnie General Dynamics exporte des munitions utilisées par Israël pour assiéger et tuer des centaines de milliers de Palestiniens, dont des enfants. Malgré le déni des politiciens, les données nous démontrent clairement que 420 000 balles ont été exportées et des centaines de livraisons d'armes et d'équipements militaires sont partis du Canada vers Israël depuis octobre 2023. C'est inacceptable. J'aimerais vous partager le témoignage de mon amie, la docteure Sarah Lalonde, une médecin québécoise qui est allée à Gaza, qui a vu un chirurgien sortir une balle de la poitrine d'un petit garçon. Et elle m'a dit « Je suis terrifiée à l'idée que cette balle venait peut-être de chez nous. » Notre groupe de médecins a rejoint cette coalition pan-canadienne de travailleurs de la santé pour dire à nos politiciens « ça suffit ». On coupe les liens avec Israël, plus d'armes, plus de bureaux, plus d'investissements, des sanctions immédiates. Il faut se ranger du bon côté de l'histoire maintenant que le génocide est reconnu par les Nations unies, Amnesty International, l'Association internationale des experts en génocide et plusieurs organismes de droits humains en Israël et à travers le monde. Les institutions et les individus qui sont complices dans ce génocide vont un jour devoir payer le prix pour leur part dans ces crimes contre l'humanité. Thank you, and let's hear from Dr. Monahan about the targeting of healthcare workers in Gaza, which is also a crime against humanity.
I'm Sarah Monahan. I really want to demand.
They're just going to ask the questions.
We're just going to go to question, because usually you only get 10 minutes for opening statement. I let 20. I'll just go to question, and then we have another conference I'll let in 30. So.
Sorry about all that. Ms. McPherson, I'm wondering if you could just comment on the comments from the Foreign Minister to the Toronto Star yesterday that Palestine normalization is not the same as recognition, that we're looking at a symbolic recognition, and just where that ranks on the concern given the gravity of what we're looking at in the immediate here on stage.
Thank you, Dylan. As you know, for a very long time, the New Democratic Party has been calling for the recognition of the state of Palestine. Knowing the situation on the ground right now is so urgent and so desperate that the starvation of civilians is happening today as we speak. The government's using of recognition of the state of Palestine as some sort of a bargaining chip is appalling. The fact that the minister has not had the moral courage to stand in front of a microphone and recognize the state of Palestine, something that she can do right now without any support from the parliament. She would be able to recognize the state immediately and should have done it long ago. The next best time is right now. The fact that she is using it as a chip and trying to wiggle out of her responsibilities to ensure Canada isn't complicit in a genocide is disappointing and appalling.
No, that's all.
So if you guys want to add on.
Thank you. I'm Dr. Sarah Monahan from British Columbia on the unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people. We're here to demand the protection and safety of our healthcare colleagues in Gaza. For the last 23 months, over 1,600 healthcare workers, physicians, midwives, nurses, pharmacists have been targeted and killed at work in hospitals, on their way to work, and targeted in their homes and tents. Paramedics driving ambulances have been corralled and executed and then buried alongside their ambulances. Our physician colleagues are being abducted at hospitals, imprisoned without charge, tortured and held in deplorable conditions. Their detentions not only violate international law, they deprive Palestinians of caring for the sick and wounded, and is part of a systematic global health catastrophe, along with deprivation of food, water, and sanitation. Currently, there are 28 physicians detained in Israeli prisons without charge. Dr. Abu Safia is a pediatrician and neonatologist. He was the medical director of Kamal Adwan Hospital when he was abducted in December 2024 while at work. He should be caring for children. As an obstetrician who cares for pregnant women and delivers babies, I rely on pediatricians to care for little vulnerable humans. And I cannot imagine if my pediatrician, midwifery, or obstetrical colleagues were being targeted and killed or abducted at work. Healthcare workers and hospitals are not targets. This is a violation of their protected status under international law. We call on Prime Minister Carney and Minister of Foreign Affairs Anita Anand to be a moral and ethical voice of Canada, to collaborate with other nations to uphold international law. We call on our government to advocate for the dignity and release of our physician and healthcare colleagues who are being detained without charge. Before he was killed at work in his hospital, Médecins Sans Frontières, Dr. Mahmoud Abu Najlaa, wrote on a whiteboard, "Whoever stays until the end will tell the story. We did what we could. Remember us." Thank you.
So just a reminder for people online, if you have a question, please use the raise hand function. S'il vous plaît, pour les gens en ligne qui auront des questions, utilisez la fonction main levée.
Yeah, a question I asked Dr. G before is what goes through your mind at night? He was thinking of his personal experience in Gaza. I'm wondering, each of you, you're in contact with people on the ground, you're seeing this stuff come out. What goes through your mind? What keeps you up at night?
On the evening before I went into Gaza last year, there was belt bombing in Gaza, in Rafah. And a young girl named Sidra Husuna, her body was in pieces and hanging off of the ledge of a building. That was the last image I looked at my phone around 2 or 3 a.m. before trying to go to sleep and then making the journey towards Gaza, to the Rafah border crossing. I think about Sidra, but I think about the tens, if not hundreds of thousands of children who have been killed this way, who are being forcibly starved. The patients, the children that I cared for in those clinics, I do not know if they're alive to this day. And this is because our government and other governments around the world are not doing everything they can to stop the perpetrator of this genocide, Israel, from forcibly withholding food, water, fuel, medical supplies, aid, baby formula from entering the Gaza Strip. That's what keeps me up at night. And the people around me here are the ones that are keeping me going. Because it is only through action and solidarity where we do everything that we can within our power, and there's so much more we can do and should do to bring an end to this genocide and move towards full liberation for the Palestinian people in Palestine, especially in Gaza.
For myself, coming from a family of residential school survivors, day school survivors, industrial school survivors, we're taught about that history in school today. And all the time we have people that come up to us and say, if I knew, I would have done something. We learn about the Holocaust in school as well, and the same sentiment is there. If I knew, I would have done something. I would have been in solidarity with those children, with those people. Well, your time is right now. Your chance to stand and do something and prevent a genocide and the death of children is right now. And so that keeps me up all the time because not enough of us seem to care. Why don't we care when we need to? Why don't we take action right now when we need to?
Just wanted to let you know that we are the Canadian Medical Coalition Against Genocide, the people you see up here. We represent physicians and healthcare workers from coast to coast. We have over 2,000 doctors and healthcare workers who have signed on to our letter to the government asking for a meeting and making demands, which I will just summarize briefly. First, we want to guarantee the flotilla's safe passage to break the siege, allow medicine and aid to be delivered to a starving population on the verge of extermination. We want Canada to lead internationally to defend medical neutrality and to hold accountable those who target hospitals, patients, and healthcare workers. And we also want to facilitate the evacuation of sick and injured children from Gaza by streamlining visas and coordinating with all levels of government. We also have other demands which are available in our letter. Just like to say that this is a test of Canada's moral compass right now, and we are waiting on the government to answer our calls. We thank you, everybody, for coming. I don't know if there's any more time. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.